Andrew Berry again from the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, talking about the Browns' philosophy of extensions and when to do that with players they view as pillars or foundational players they're going to build around.
It's a fair question, Ross. And without, I do have, a typical policy that I won't speak on specific contracts in the media in this setting. But I think it is fair to say that that is an approach that we believe in terms of, identifying, pillar guys and trying to retain them as soon as we can. Now, that being said, each situation truly is unique. But, we do want to get into a habit of rewarding our own and, identifying those guys early, no different than we did with, Myles Garrett last year. We did that with Kareem Hunt last year. So I think that that's something that you'll see more often than not within our organization. But that being said, it's not a one size fits all approach. We will deal with it on an individual basis.
Let's bring back in Doug Lesmerises, columnist for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Doug, in addition to making good moves, it appears they make good business moves, which, again, you get the two together and you have a pretty sustainable, good franchise.
Listen, Andrew Berry, as he said, is never going to talk about specific things, but I love principles, right? If you have principles and things in place, a way of doing business is how you win. And so that idea, that came up, I think, like with Joe Schobert, right when Andrew Berry took over. It was like the Browns, because Joe Schobert was already getting to the point of free agency when Andrew Berry took over, it was like kind of too late. And I think like the Browns made that decision then, we're not going to give Joe Schobert a free agent contract. But if Berry had been here the year before, and I think he kind of expressed this, maybe we could have gotten something done earlier, right? That they do want to get those pillars done early. And we're going to find out who they view as the pillars. And I've been digging into this. I got to write it eventually. But I kind of had this idea in my head of like, I don't know how many pillars a franchise can have. Guys that you really sort of have for a second contract, really, is sort of how I view it. And I thought maybe it might only be 3 or 4 guys. Digging into sort of like teams that have won in recent years, you really can have more, maybe like 6 or 7 guys who are that core. And so we're going to figure that out with the Browns. And I think those are the guys. The Browns are going to go to them early, get them done early. And if you don't get that contract, if they don't come to you and do that, that means they don't see you that way. And so it doesn't mean they don't want you around, but that's a rare group. That is the core of your team. We are building around these guys. They're not irreplaceable, but they're special. They're different, right? We don't just want a good player there. We want this good player there. So I think, Myles Garrett is one. Baker Mayfield's going to be one. I think we're going to see 5 or 6 or 7 guys treated that way in that group, and that's who the Browns are going to build around for this next stretch of 3, 4, 5, 6 years of winning.